And we're live.
Live!
Well, we're behind the scenes live, not live.
Oh my gosh, this makes me laugh.
That was like 10 minutes.
I know, and it's like that old T-Mobile, AT&T. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
And it's not, it's funny because we, in a weird way, I feel like we know what we're doing, but it's not working. It's like we're like that old couple that's like staring at the screen.
I know. Oh my gosh, and today I laughed that I almost wanted to put on the Book of the Face, do not pick today as the day you watch the video, because I've like been rained on 80 times taking the dog outside, and
I'm not showered.
Bra showing.
Yeah, I have not showered. I was like, oh, I'll shower, blah, blah. Yeah, no, it didn't happen. I was like, I have too many things to do.
We need to do one of those. I am too young to remember these. A very special episode where we put on like prom dresses or something, like go around.
That would be really funny.
And get dressed up.
Yeah, we should do the cool thing about the hangout is that we could invite, we're going to do that, right, for the line. We could invite people to like join us live, which we have to but I feel like we are totally not ready for that.
No, we are not.
We can't even handle the two of us.
I like to think it's not us, because that has happened to me. Like I said to you, on so many hangouts where I'm like, I'm ready, it's 10 a.m., they're supposed to let me in to be a guest. Nothing. Yeah. And then I get the email, sorry.
Didn't work. Yeah. No. It's and it's weird because it's so buggy. It's like you said, you just turn it on and come back up, and then it works. It's like, well, what did I do different? I didn't do anything different than I did the last 5 times I've done. No. Okay, so I have the printout this week. I am prepared.
I know. I'm excited. I got my picture.
So, okay, we're going to do the don't break, habit replace. So you're going to kind of, once we do our chit-chatty thing, and we'll mention the Goodreads thing and kind of do a call for Goodreads people. And then so, it's fun because I don't know what we're going to talk about there. So I'm going to come in green on that one, which is cool.
With the break the habit?
Yeah. Like I get it.
I'm excited about that too. Yes.
Yeah, but I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying with the other one too. The challenge.
And then, and then I'm going to remind everybody how I dropped the ball on my drawer a day challenge, and then I think we should do, or we're going to challenge ourselves, and then we'll challenge everyone else to join in with us this week to pick something and then tackle it bit by bit through the week, and then we could check in with each other next week, which is cool. And then we'll start talking about kind of how wycwyc leads to a living consciously kind of, I don't know, not mantra, but mentality.
Yes, and it was funny that I saw, and then we will start, a little blurb on somewhere talking about the nutrition content of that treat that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And people kept saying, it is horrible. I will never have that again. And I thought, okay.
No, you will.
And it's not, where are we surprised? It's not a carrot. So I just laugh. Sometimes I laugh when we get all wound up over something not being good for us, when it's pretty clear from the beginning, it's just we enjoy it.
Right. But then also knowing when you know, like you, again, consciously being able to make the decision and having that information, which kind of does, I don't know, change the decision you may make. Yeah.
We got to go live.
All right, let's go live. Before we talk.
We'll be like, we're done.
Yes. Okay. I'll do my little thing. Okay, ready?
I am ready.
Hello, and welcome to this week's wycwyc podcast.
Oh my gosh, I love this, and I don't know how many people out there are, I think most people are probably listening to us, but the video piece is so much fun because it feels like when we start the official iTunes Grown Up podcast, we've set it up so well, and we've gotten the chit-chat going, so I would say at least watch one video.
Just one.
It makes me laugh, and that's my whole life is like, levity. Life is too serious.
Plus, people get to see us unshowered in our workout clothes. They get to see behind the curtain, which is really not that pretty.
No, I know. I had a conversation with a friend the other day about our video, and she's like, you guys are awesome. You don't put a lot of pressure on yourselves. I was like, no, hence the name, Behind the Scenes.
And what you can when you can, because if we had time to like shower, and we don't, and we don't let it hold. See, that's
hold us back.
We don't let us hold us back, and I think that's for me. Like, it's funny because I'm going to go on something we didn't talk about now, but I'm working on a post today, and I went back and I looked at my old food journals from 10 years ago when I started Weight Watchers, and I looked back and I thought, oh my God, I had on day 7. This was 7 days into my new life. I had in big words, bad day, and I just gave up that day. And I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I did that. But then I realized, like, then I just picked it up the next day and I kept going, and I'm like, oh, I was wicking back then. I did it.
Yes, and that's exactly it. And that's what the woman said. She's like, I really love how you guys do video, and I would do that. But see, you don't understand. I like to be messy. And I was like, yeah, this is not called Ronnie and Carla in dress clothes.
Yeah, no.
Sharing their life. I'm like, it's really just what we can when we can. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. It would never be perfect enough.
It would never. No. I always, everything I do. I worked with a bunch of artists at one time, and it's funny because I was the complete opposite personality type than they were. Me, I was like, I invite people in on the process. My writing is not very polished. My photos are never edited, and I go, and that's what I find inspirational. And in my opinion, that's kind of what bloggers do that's special, because, you could pick up a magazine, watch a produced show, and everything's, perfectly perfect, right? But what bloggers do, I mean, at least from my perspective, the style blogging that I do is like, hey, this is me. I got no makeup on. I'm wearing workout clothes that I've been in since 5 a.m. I want to be that kind of like normalcy.
Well, and I think you nailed it with This Is Me, because she and I, this woman, started tanging and talking about the B school, and she was talking about the woman who does that and how polished she is. And I said, you know what? I bet she's like that day to day. There are so many people where you drop by their house and they are in those khaki pants, skinny belt, silk blouse, hair done. But it would be way too much for me. And that's how I blog. And yet some people, I think it really is what feels comfortable to them.
Yeah, it's a priority thing. I remember, because I know our friend, Authentic Emmy, I love her to death, and she always looks amazing. And I had a conversation with her, one of the fit bloggings, a couple fit bloggings ago, and I'm like, you always look so good. And it's like, I feel like such a schlub next to you. But then she's like, but this is a priority for me. This is what I'm into. And I'm like, you're right. I'm just not into it. So why would I have to force myself to be into this whole fashion thing? It's just not me.
And I think it's so natural. I've got to give her a big shout out of love. And what is the URL now? Is it AuthenticEmmy.com?
Yes, I think so. And yes, and I think Twitter is AuthEmmy. AuthEmmy. E-M-I-E.
Had the opportunity to do a Skype with her, and I looked like this, which is not very fancy. I felt like, and I kept saying it to her, I think she thought I was a lunatic, but it does go back to the wycwyc and be who you naturally are. I felt like I was on a TV show. I thought it was wallpaper. I did not realize it was stenciled on the paint, and she looked so beautiful in the whole room. It was like I was Skyping into a television show, and that's really who she is, and I could maintain that for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I love her orange background wall. I do. It's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it's the Authentically Emmy podcast.
It's so true. Okay, so let's get, I'm really, really, really excited about our first segment, which is all about habits and replacing versus breaking.
Yes.
So I can't
okay, I'm super excited about this for 2 reasons. The first one, it's a bit of, I'm really not sciencey researchy, but it was done by a guy here at the University of Texas, Austin. Go Longhorns. Go Longhorns.
No idea.
But it also made me think of, and I don't know if you remember this, I bet you do, when we were kids, there was some kind of a science thing where they would say, what's the first thing you think of when we say, don't think about broccoli? Do you remember that whole thing? Yes, it's like as soon as we try not to do something, it's all we can think about. So his research was based on habits, and that we tell ourselves not to do something, and it becomes too hard. For me, the hard would be, it would be all I would think about. If I had to give up my end of the day, Bravo TV, snacks, I may not even enjoy it all that much, but I would begin to obsess because it would become all I would think about.
Right.
So his thing is, if there's a habit you want to break, this is not the habit I want to break, but it's always a really relatable example of the eating at night, snacking while you watch TV. Don't even think about the habit you're trying to break. Learn something new. It's much easier to acquire a new skill than to stop doing something. And it seems a little bit obvious, because I think it's very obvious to those of us in the whole healthy living tribe, bloggers. How do we distract ourselves? We knit, we crochet, we paint our nails, we color, whatever it is. But I liked how he phrased it, not as I'm distracting myself from this horrible habit I would do if I didn't distract myself, but more I'm going to learn a new skill.
Right. It's funny. I think even
That was like a monologue. I got a little
no,
excited.
no, that was great. That was no, but it's funny because I did this naturally, but I didn't do it as night and day as say I want to give up nighttime snacking, so I'm going to take up knitting. For me, it was I snacked on horrible things at night. So it could be like I was eating an entire bag of Doritos with cheese melted on it and chili left over from the night before, like this horrible thing. And I didn't, instead of breaking the nighttime snack habit, I replaced it with healthier snacks. So I think sometimes it could be just that small shift too. Like I remember there were times where I would literally cut up a butternut squash at 8 o'clock at night and make squash fries, which was way better than eating regular traditional fries.
And I wonder if he would see that as learning the new habit of, it is really blurry in there, but learning the new habit of eating healthy foods.
Yeah, well, and I think when you first mentioned this as a potential segment, that's what popped into my head. I was like, I didn't break the nighttime snack habit. I just replaced the quote unquote bad things I was doing with better things or better options.
Yes.
So that's how I thought about it. But I think even across the spectrum, like I'm trying to think of things that
Did you use the negative? Like, was it, I think for me, because I'm a rebel. Once I hear don't, I'm like, oh, that is what I'm going to do. So it sounds like you were more focused on what can I create that would be healthy and enjoyable versus the don't.
I'm never going to eat that again. Like for me, I'll
Yes.
use pizza as example because pizza is like my biggest nemesis. I literally could eat an entire pizza without a problem. More cheese, the better. Stuffed crust, I'm all in. I'm totally in on pizza. And when I started Weight Watchers, I was very much of I'm not giving up pizza. Like I love pizza, and I don't want to have to give it up. So you're right. That wouldn't work for me, and instead I started making my own pizza. I started using like whole wheat English muffins, or I
It's
started
interesting you like that because when I had clients or my husband, he is a pizza person too, and he's like, that depresses me. I do not want the English muffin pizza. I want the real thing, or I'll just have grilled chicken. I don't really care. But no, so it doesn't depress you to do the healthy version,
It
which I
does.
love.
You know what though? I think I could see why it would depress some people, and then there's like two schools of thought there, right? There's the if you want it, just have it in moderation thought,
Yes,
and
I'll
then
just have one piece.
I think for me, and I totally do agree with that, but I think in the beginning it was too tempting. It was too. I didn't trust myself yet. So in the beginning,
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, now if I want a slice of pizza, I'll have a slice of pizza. But the funny thing is, I don't want a slice of pizza anymore because I've outtrained myself somehow. It's not doesn't have the same
Yes.
appeal. But 10 years ago, I think if I made it totally off limits, it would have backfired. And if I tried to convince myself, well, I'll just have one slice of the real thing and that will satisfy me, it was kind of like lying to myself. So,
And then you feel worse.
and then I did feel worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with like, if we keep the focus on the nighttime snacking thing, that I never understood how it would work because it would not work for me. I'm not going to nighttime snack. I'm going to paint my nails. Well, shit. If I wanted that snack, I would just let my nails get smudged. I mean, I don't really care. So for me, it really would need to be I'm learning a new habit of, I love those nail designs. Okay, I want to learn how to do those flowers. It would have to be something I was excited about. Anything else, that's why I can't walk on a treadmill because I'll just hit stop.
That's
Think if I'm done. So with the knitting, it wouldn't stop me from snacking if I was trying to distract myself because I would just put the knitting down and go to the kitchen and get the Ben and Jerry's. So, but being excited about a new habit, I wonder if that was his premise of, because I am dying to learn how to knit. I don't know why. I think it'd be really fun. So I would be excited to do that. So I probably would not even think about the snacking because I'd be so into my new habit.
I have zero interest in learning how to knit.
No, I can't believe I think it's because my daughter thinks it's like the coolest thing. I saw my sister doing it. And Tamara Grand, a blogger friend of ours, does it. So I could get into that. But for me, if I'm trying to distract myself from a bad habit, it becomes like the treadmill. I would just turn it off.
It's funny. I joke that I have no interest in knitting, but I just posted on Facebook. I'm trying to look for some friends that want to take a pottery class with me.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and I think this is also key because I think we can broaden this idea a little bit. So yes, in the moment, and we'll keep using the nighttime snacking because it is an easy example. Like in the moment, you have to find a don't replace. But I think overall, when you start to kind of indulge yourself in things that you do find interesting or that you wanted to learn, like for you, knitting, for me,
Yes.
ceramic. I think when you start to create that life where you just go, I really want to learn how to, I don't know, rebuild an engine or whatever it might be intriguing you, and you actually start to take steps to make that happen, you see the benefits of that through almost all other areas of your life, including like if you're trying to lose weight or if you're trying to get, like it almost is like the start of a snowball or a domino effect, because you start to sink your energy into things that are passions, and it kind of it takes the energy away in a good way to the negative things that are in your life.
Yes, like biting your nails. I think that was the one he used in the article too. And I thought, yes, creating a new habit, it takes the time and the energy away from, so, yes, from something you don't want to do, and yet it's not a punishment. I'm not good with the punishment thing. It feels exciting as opposed to being a punishment.
Yes, and I think I know for me, like once I started to really, I don't know, live life, like that's so generic and whatever. But when I did start to go reach out to my friends, go, let's do a girls' night, and start to plan things and vacations and rock wall and things that I always wanted to do, but for whatever reason, for me it was body image. For other people, it could be, I don't know, whatever it's holding them back, their own insecurities. That it kind of keeps us under a rock. But once we start to peel away some layers and start to
snowball.
It's snowball.
Momentum.
Totally momentum. It's
Yes.
I mean, I'm doing things now I like 10 years ago I A, would have thought impossible, but B, also I wouldn't have thought I had the time. Now all of a sudden I'm finding the time because I'm making it a priority, and I'm doing things in my life. Like I watch a lot less TV now. I do, like there are things that I just do a lot less of, and I don't even realize it because all of my energy is spent now. I've redirected it into things that I want to do and passions. So yeah, no, I think that.
Yes, I think it's an interesting idea. I don't know that it would work. I think sometimes you do need to decide, I want to break this habit. Otherwise, it never really changes. But I did like the notion of the more positive, like we've talked about with reframing our words or turning our words inside out. It becomes less of a punishment, at least positive.
You know what? I'll give one more example. I'm going to use my husband as an example. So I've been on his case to give up soda for years, years.
See, and I'm a soda advocate, a little bit.
Yeah, no, and I'm not against. I cannot stress this. Yeah, I cannot stress this enough. I'm not against people having occasional soda. Like, it's fine. For me, I'm a water drinker through and through. But sometimes I want a lemonade. Like for me, that's my soda.
Yes, exactly.
And I totally get it. And I was raised by a mom who didn't give us soda as a kid, so I never created those soda connections that a lot of people have. But for me,
I know, me too. I worry about that with my daughter because I was raised without it, and now for some reason I love the bubbles. I ever give it to her, and I'm like, will you crave it? But I love the carbonation. I'm good with carbonated water.
Yeah, I like carbonated water too. But anyway, so does
he do a lot?
He used to drink easily a 2 liter a day of regular sugar soda, which is probably better actually than the diet stuff. But anyway, he's made great strides. He's doing so good with it, and he's replaced it now it's like I'm seeing how perfect this is with those squirtable little things that you add to water. You know what I mean?
Gosh. My husband, the Mios or whatever, they're like Mio bottles everywhere.
With the Mios.
And he's like, do you want to try this? No.
No, me neither.
I'm like, nothing against it. I'm just like, I'm good.
I like my water straight up. That's fine.
My gosh, the Mio bottles are all over the house.
But he's done exactly what this is all about. Instead of thinking about, I'm going to give up soda, he's replaced it with this Mio, which is like and I'm very much an advocate, hence the book we wrote, of baby steps. And to my mind, this is a baby. He did the hard work of like breaking the tie he had with soda, and he's redirected it to Mio. And now, I mean, he can, again, if he wanted to tackle this, he could slowly reduce the amount of Mio.
Yes.
And so it's like a progression. There's definitely a progression there, and I think that's key. Like that's really key. It's like it truly is a baby step along the way of becoming more of a water drinker overall. I mean, he drinks more water now than he's ever have, and I mean even water not with Mio in it. Like
little thing. And it's funny how amazing it is to look back. My daughter was asking me something the other day, and she's like, well, did you ever do, I don't remember what it was, and I thought, I did do that like 10 years ago all the time, and how did I stop? I guess I just slowly Stop.
slowly.
It is that, it's that slow over time.
It's so funny because I cracked myself up looking at my first few days of food journals 10 years ago, and I like wait till you see it on the blog. It's funny. I ate Lucky Charms for breakfast. I had a hot dog for lunch. I had like just really typical American diet stuff, and I thought, oh my
Yes.
gosh, I forgot that I mean, I always tell people, yeah, my diet was pretty typical, a lot of processed foods, blah blah blah, and I've slowly changed over the course of 10 years. But when I went and saw it, I was like, wow. I was eating Lucky Charms for breakfast on Weight Watchers and still lost like.
Yeah, you know what, and that's such a great point that I think about that all the time, that people get overwhelmed, as you know even better than I do, because I'm so boring and simple with the foods. Anything that's a change will slowly move you forward.
Exactly.
Remember when I decided to change my eating habits senior year of college? I'm sure it was pretty comparable because it was like the cereal that was out. And I loved that sugared cereal back then, but I did maybe one bowl and not three.
Mm-hmm. I think I replaced like those sugar cereals with, I remember I became an all brand advocate. I was eating all brand every day because it was, I'm pretty sure back then it was 0 points. And I was like, I can have this for 0 points, you know, and sometimes it's funny about even the motivation behind it. Like that was my motivation behind it.
Yes.
It was 0.0. But then that led to grape nuts, and then that led to oatmeal, and then that led to
And we
eggs.
never know where it's going. I think that's the thing too, and especially as I get older, I look back and think, I am so grateful I did X because it would never have led to where I am now, and I had no way of knowing back then. Right. So it is that you don't know where it's going to go, and it's taking that first step.
It's so true. Okay, we need to move on because we could probably talk about that. That was such a great, I mean, that's just a great kind of concept to kind of get into people's heads with, I think.
And totally out of the healthy living, which I loved.
Yes. So
all about the weight.
I have a confession, and those of you who've been listening week to week know that when we first started this podcast,
I've done nothing.
It was New Year's-esque time, and I was very adamant about my drawers and my cabinets in my house are an utter disaster. They really are. I just keep shoving.
Amazing because they're still empty.
You just moved.
No, they're empty.
I keep shoving stuff. I mean, literally, like if you saw my Tupperware like I just shove things in now, and like when I open it, things are falling out, and I'm like, I don't care. But I set a goal for the year to kind of do one drawer a day, and I was doing really, really well with it. I was doing one drawer. I did like 3 of my closed drawers. I haven't tackled the kitchen yet or the pantry. But then things happened, you know, life happened, and then I got out of the habit. And then I said I would do it again, but I still didn't do it again. So I am challenging myself, and I'm using the podcast to keep me accountable, to do one drawer and or cabinet every day this week until the next podcast.
How long does it take you? I get paralyzed because I think, oh my goodness, like with my thing, I think I still have not unpacked. And it's funny because, actually it's not funny at all. We've been here for 2 months and people start to think it's a huge statement. Now, I set myself up for success, which I am very proud of. When I left where we used to live, I packed everything not in boxes, but in soft trunks. I thought I set myself up for success. Now I'm thinking I'm enabling myself because they don't look that bad in the bedroom.
So you're living out of soft trunks now.
Oh, it's worse than that. I brought down a big suitcase, and I'm just, when I have to go, I had a big presentation this weekend. I zipped open my trunk. I took out the fancy stuff, and I wore it. But I'm wearing... It's really enlightening into decluttering. I tend to wear the same things all the time. We all do.
Yeah, me too.
And so I wash it and then I wear it again. But I need to unpack only because it's starting to cause me stress. It's that clutter and stress connection. And I'm overwhelmed. I think, how long will this take?
I feel the same. Like sometimes when I go to cook and I go to get a pot and all my pots are disheveled in there and I can't find the lid, I get really frustrated. And I think like if I would just invest that time and then I open that closet, there's a calmingness when things are in order, and you know, and life happens, like things get out of order. But I think, I mean, for me, it could take anywhere from 10 minutes to a half hour probably to do per drawer, per pantry. But I think it's really realistic for me to be, okay, you know, I can, and you know this about me, I will enlist the kids. So it's something that we then do together, which is another kind of, I don't know, slice variable in the wycwyc equation, I guess, is that then we're spending time together, like dumping the junk drawer and going through all the fun stuff. And it's funny because they think it's hysterically fun. You know, they're finding like Matchbox cars that they didn't know existed.
Yes, my daughter loves that stuff.
And then they're a part of this, like, it's not something that mom does. Mom doesn't only take care of the house. You know, they're involved as well. So I feel like if I just make this commitment.
And then you don't resent it because you have helpers.
Right. It's time we spend together, right? We get a drawer cleaned and accomplished, which makes me feel a little bit more sane in my environment. And then they learn that they also need to, you know, keep things and be a part of the family management team, basically.
Well, and you nail it. I think about that with living kind of, not even out of, near the trunks, because what message am I sending? It's like kids pick up on what we do, not what we say. We tell them, you may not have Diet Coke, I drink Diet Coke. And so I think I'm sending messages I don't mean to be sending.
That's so true.
And she did say to me, I need to follow your lead, because she said, I will help you. I will sit with you, because we laugh about how when I was young, I would drag my little sister in, just sit with me while I clean my room. You don't have to help. I just want company. So I need to do one trunk a night. It cannot take longer than a half an hour.
Right. And I think, and you have to trade off something, of course. So maybe it's, you know, half hour less of work or less TV or, like whatever it might be, of course. But I mean, for us, like right now we're in like board game mode. Like we've been playing. We're on a third day of a Monopoly marathon that we've been playing for a few days. You know, so maybe I'll have to cut that game short and say, okay, guys, it's time to clean a drawer, and you know, clean the drawer. So of course.
But it is what you said. What you can when you can. 15 minutes. It doesn't need to be the full half an hour or 10.
Right, and it doesn't have to be every drawer and every cabinet. It could be one, like literally one drawer. I'm just going to dump the junk drawer, go through stuff, and I know it'll start to make me feel better. It's just that I haven't had the oomph behind me to do it. So I'm publicly calling myself out. I am
paralyzed. Me too. And I think that we're not alone. I mean, I know I get texts and emails from friends all the time saying how overwhelmed they are by mail clutter, office clutter, definitely the kitchen. But so I think that we drag everybody else in on this with us and pick one thing and only do a tiny bit each day.
Oh, you know what? We should have people leave a comment to commit. So I think, so either on the blog or on Facebook, or not Facebook, or Facebook. We could actually do it on the Facebook page. I was going to say, or YouTube if you watch the video. Yeah. Just leave us a little note about what it is that you're kind of going to tackle, and then that way you'll have that kind of same sense of accountability that we do. Yes.
And it's only for a week.
And we won't feel so alone. Oh, I think that's a good point you brought up. Because sometimes I think knowing there's an end in sight.
Oh my goodness, yes. Because whatever I have on the front in a week. And you know, it goes back to me. I've been shocked at how little I need. I did a big decluttering before we moved, and granted, both of our jobs, I can work right in anything, but I'm shocked at how little I need.
I love how little. I sometimes I'm one of those moms that go and clean out toys and then just hope that they don't notice. I would love to have a smaller house with less stuff. I really would. I think even the older I get, the more I just really, you're right. I want my laptop and my camera, and I'm good. Like I don't even
know. Okay, I'm going to get mushy really fast, but I went to see Jack Hanna this weekend. Do you know who Jack Hanna is? The Animal Man. Adore him. I used to work in TV, and he came on a bunch. But he said at the end, and I seriously got choked up, he was amazing. I actually thought it could be a little boring, but he was amazing. But he said, thank you for coming, because the older I get, and the weather was really bad, as we've been talking about, the more I realize it's not the things, it's that you would spend your time on me. Right. And I thought, that is it. I'm realizing how little I need and how much stress when we declutter leaves.
It's true. That's a really good point. Well, you say this all the time. You're in my head about the whole time is the one resource. Yes. You know, like you can earn more money. You can even make new friends. You can. Yes. You can't manufacture time. So
I did yell that at my child the very first time, and it was an aha moment. But she got it too. She's like, "Oh wow, you can get another job." Right. I was like, "Yes, but I cannot get time back." Yeah. And so I think it'll give us both so much less stress if we spend that little bit of our time, resource, and just organize and unpack. So we're dragging you in with us.
Yes, we are.
One thing.
Okay, so this actually also, especially thinking about the time thing, leads to our last segment, which is about
Yay.
living consciously and kind of making decisions about anything like our challenge to a food choice open-eyed. That's what I'm going to call it, like eyes open decision making instead of kind of going through life, I don't know, on autopilot. That's how I usually say it.
Yes, and I really do think I've made the decision not to unpack because inaction is also a decision and a choice. And I think that so often with food, it can be the mindless eating, it can be the not making a more healthy choice. It's inaction is also still making a choice.
I never thought about it that way. Yeah, I always say like the one thing that it used to be a reoccurring theme on my blog, which was I always used to say I eat consciously now. I eat consciously now. And you're right, I think it was a decision when I struggled with my weight more to just kind of look away, like I don't want to know what's in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wasn't making any changes in how I ate, and I felt terrible because I didn't realize I was gluten intolerant. The inaction was also a choice. I was choosing to stay feeling crappy.
Right.
But I would never have
Yes.
thought of it like that back then. I would have thought, I just feel crappy. I'm not choosing this.
Right. You don't really look at all the variables that lead to the feeling crappiness and go, wait, these are things in my control. And I think for me, I sometimes, and it kind of goes to even like wanting the brownie and then choosing the brownie and consciously choosing the brownie. And like when you
So
go,
different.
when
Yeah.
you go, it's so different than feeling powerless. And I think there's a really nuance there. Like, and I use like when I worked in an office environment and someone would bring in donuts. There's like two ways to approach this, right? Or like cookies, or gosh, in my old office, we used to go to, there was a grocery store next door, and we used to go buy Ben and Jerry's ice cream. And we would eat, and it was just things we did. And I never stopped to think, like, okay,
Yeah.
do I really want, it was just, this is what we do.
Almost instinctual.
They brought donuts in. I have to have a donut. It would be rude.
Yes.
And then it was like my eyes were kind of open to the decision of, okay, if I want a donut, I can have the donut, and then I move on from there. Or, you know what, I don't need to eat the donut. I'm not, it's not insulting anyone if I don't have a donut. It's not the end of the world. Lunch is an hour away. Why ruin lunch if I'm going to go out with my, So I think there was
Yes.
it was almost like a light was turned on. It was like this really conscious, where things just, instead of, and again, I'll use it again, instead of being on autopilot, I think a lot of people are on autopilot, and they don't really think about, not the
Because you can make the same choices. I think that was the eye-opening for me, is that I may change nothing about what I'm eating. Truly, it may still be McDonald's 2 meals a day, if that's what you're doing, but it's a conscious choice. Gosh, I love this. I savor every bite of those McNuggets. I'm really enjoying this. And it's what you've chosen. It didn't just happen to you. And you're safe. For me, conscious and savor go together. Whatever it is, if I'm having an eclair, I've consciously chosen this, and I savor every bite, mindfully enjoying it.
Yeah, last night we made nachos for dinner, and I love them. And I even said to my husband,
I'm not a nacho person.
"Oh,
Oh my gosh, no Mexican food, no nachos.
we buy baked scoops, like the baked little, like they look like little mini like bowls, like
Oh
taco
yeah, I hear
salad
my
bowls.
child packing to move in with you guys. That's her favorite thing, but she doesn't like to scoop anything.
Well,
What do you
so
scoop? Oh, the cheese.
I started this, like, for taco nights. We would start this where I would take the taco meat, put a little bit in each one, put a little slice of avocado, and and so last night I happened to have leftover steak. We had this, like, we're gonna eat. We weren't planning on eating in because weather made our plans change again, and so I go, oh, I have leftover steak in the fridge. Let's make nachos with the leftover meat, and I have an avocado. We have some salsa, we have some cheese, and we pulled together. And I thought, and I was like, this is really what I want for dinner. This is really fun. And I think years ago I would have done that, but then still ate a dinner. And I was like, no, we're consciously choosing nachos as our dinner. And that's what we ate for dinner. And it was everyone.
And I love what you said about the fun. I think there's that element, because my husband and I were talking about taking our daughter out somewhere. And I said, to me, it's also reinforcing for her that it's more than simply about, I'm eating nachos. This is what we're doing, and this is so fun, and we're a family, and we're enjoying each other's company.
Right.
That there's so much more to it than just the food.
We made it an event. Like we were all in the kitchen. We were all in the kitchen. You know, one kid's grating cheese. My husband is cutting the avocado. We're putting in. You know what I mean? Like we were all. It was an event, and it was. We made this conscious decision. It wasn't, and it was really fun. And I want nacho. I want like a nacho dinner night now. Like a. Every couple weeks. It was really
well, and it ties in so well because you're not having fun if you're not being conscious with your consumption, whatever it is.
Right. It's
TV, books, magazines, and I love that. And that's what I want to instill in my child. It's not so much what you're eating, but that it's in, like you said, events.
You know, oh, I have another side story actually about Ryan, who had a friend over the other day during a snow day, and I was like a fly on the wall in my office. I have an open office so I can hear everything. And they were eating lunch. And Ryan was eating leftover pizza and a salad. That was what he was eating. And his friend brought like a peanut butter jelly sandwich and some cookies. And, you know, they were eating lunch. And
oh, my gosh, wait, you got the friend to bring his own lunch?
Well, it wasn't my idea, but that's his mom packed his own lunch.
I love that mom.
His mom packed his own lunch. And so they're eating, and I'm listening to Ryan parrot back everything I've ever told him about food. So his friend was eating like these Oreo cookie dippers or something where the cream is outside of, you know, like, kind of like those old cheese and cracker books. And Ryan says, oh, my mom won't buy those. They're not very healthy.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm sitting in my office mortified, and I'm like, oh my God. But then he goes, well, you should read the ingredients. And I was like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my son is really
integrated it and taken ownership of it.
Yes, and it's funny because his diet is far from perfect. And I said, and we have this tradition where when we go shopping, I let him pick one thing. And so, and he said this week he wanted to pick those Oreo things. And so even though he knows,
I love that though.
And I loved it. And I said that could be your one thing. But here's the funny thing. So we go grocery shopping, and he finds them, and he's like, oh, this is going to be my one thing this week. And I said, okay, cool. And then at checkout, he goes, oh, can I trade it? I really want gum.
Oh.
And I said, sure, not. And in my mind, I'm thinking, gum, I'd rather you have
I'll
gum.
take that. And it's,
gum.
you know, and it's like we as adults empower the food so much more than the kids do. Like, I'm sure that seemed really exciting to him. And then he's like, oh, I'll take gum.
Yes, and then I'm thinking, okay, and and I didn't make it off limits. I empowered him by teaching him what it was. He consciously makes this decision. Yes. You know, I got to teach him not to call out his friends. To not eat.
No shaming.
Like, I don't want him to like be that kid that's like, you shouldn't be eating this. But yeah, no, I was really proud of him, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's working. Like, you ever have a moment where you're like, oh wait, I really am impacting his decisions in his life, and it made me feel good. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it should. It is that he's taken it on as his own.
Yes, and he's conscious. So the consciousness, yes, and I'm just happy he was conscious, which leads us to the wycwycer of the week.
Which is one I love this too.
And it was perfect timing, actually. So we have a form on the wycwyc.com website where people can submit their stories or ask a question or just share some tidbits with us, and we love hearing from people. And yesterday, actually, we got an email from Jackie, and the subject of the email was shamrock shakes.
Which, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh no, please don't be bashing them and
saying me too.
Boycott.
And I have to I have a confession. I don't know if people know this about me, but I worked at McDonald's for 5 years through high school and college, and I would mix the shamrock shake and the chocolate shake. This was like when shamrock shakes came in, it was a huge event when you work at McDonald's. Yes, when you work at McDonald's, things like that, like the shamrock shakes coming in, a huge event. We were all very excited, and I basically grew up on chocolate shamrock shakes. But anyway, so her message was, so I've been craving a shamrock shake for weeks and planned on grabbing one after the gym today. Smiley face. to ration over a few days. So she was going to buy one. And first of all, I think this was a great idea. Like, she's like, I really, really want a shamrock shake, and I'm going to have a little bit today and then save it and then have it. You know,
I thought it was great too.
Genius, right? So she says, I pulled into the drive-thru, and when I saw that it was over 600 calories, I left the drive-thru line and headed home. I really do like them, but I just had to stop when I saw how many calories they were. I just decided it wasn't worth it. And then she ends her email with, wycwyc baby.
I know, I loved that. Of course, being in Texas, I shouted, "Wycwyc, y'all!"
Wycwyc, baby.
That.
And I love that. And this is a great example of being conscious. So A, she could have just had it, and that would have been fine too. B,
Yes.
she had a plan. Like, oh, I'm going to have this shake, but you know what? I'm going to have a little bit every day because it's something I really enjoy.
I thought that was brilliant. I thought, oh my gosh, pausing there, I imagined all the little Dixie cups, pouring it in, putting them in the freezer. Smartest thing ever.
And then B, then she's, given a little bit more information, and she goes, you know what? No, I'm consciously deciding I really don't want this right now. And I think, I feel like in her story, she shared like a whole progression that someone can even take, to make changes in their lives. And I'm like, oh my God, that's such a great story.
It is totally the flow chart. I want her to draw a flow chart. So I guess she came to all these crossroads and decided no. But then it goes back to the guy and his research. If someone would have told her she couldn't have it, then it's like, I want it.
So true. It's way more empowering when you make the decision yourself.
I love that.
Versus someone saying, well, you're on a diet, you shouldn't eat that shamrock shake or whatever. Yeah, that always backfires people, which is why I think, I'm so glad we wrote the book we wrote, because I think truly when we empower people to come from a place of self-love and then come from a conscious, eyes wide open, they will slowly make the choices that do lead them to their goals.
Yes.
And it's more powerful when it comes from within versus an external thing.
And there's never a wrong choice, because you're never as far from the choice you think I want to make as the very next one.
Right.
That was awesome. I loved that.
I love that too. So on that note, we are wrapping up episode 7 of the wycwyc podcast.
Gosh, go us.
I know. We did it again. Okay.
We did, and we'll be back wycwycing for episode 8.
Yep. See you then. Wycwyc.
Wycwyc.
Oh wait, I don't have to stop it because we're gonna have the I was like, I can stop the thing, but we have the whole behind the scenes thing. So that went really well.
It's funny how I feel like, I'm a little tired, and then we start, I'm like, I'm so energized.
Oh, I always get energized when we talk about, I think because you and I are both so passionate about, there's nothing here that needs to be faked. This is truly how we have made our own changes in our own lives, and it's just so easy. Really, we could have a 4-hour podcast every day.
I am dying about the Mios. Those are all over the house. I haven't even tried them, and now Emma's like, I want to try them.
I have tried them when he's like, oh, here, because he really likes the berry pomegranate or something, and he's like, here, try it. I'm like, he puts so much in right now. I'm like, whoa,
that's
it's
where Chris is.
Yeah, no, I'm like, maybe if I just had a little splash where it slightly dyed the water, but
oh my gosh,
no, I can't do
that. That did make me laugh. I did not see that coming, both of them.
Well, I didn't even think about but I'm like, oh, he's actively breaking his soda habit right now. He's doing exactly this right now. It just really occurred to me when we were chatting. So.
Oh, this is great. Okay, I'm off for my 11 o'clock.
Perfect. I will. Awesome. I'll start editing and doing whatever. Oh, and I'll download that plugin for the share thing. I'll do that this afternoon too. Okay.
Awesome. I'm excited.
I'm going to cough in here. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I'm leaving my